Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole on this gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. And we are starting with some dussies at Stony Point in Betty's Bay. And how cute are these little chaps? My name is Maxine Gaines, and we would love to chat to you. So please send through your comments, your questions, any conversation starters you want. You can do that on wildearth.tv, or you can do that via X. So please, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you involved in the show this afternoon. And just having a look at these gorgeous little creatures, little rock hyraxes. One of two different species of hyrax that we get in South Africa. We also get the tree hyrax, which is more a forest-dwelling animal, very similar looking. And then the rock hyrax is obviously, as the name suggests, basking on the rocks, found in rocky outcrops all over the country. Not sure what startled the other one because he took off and this one didn't seem to respond. So I'm not sure why the other chap got a fright. Such interesting feet when you look at them, the rock hyraxes. Oh, there we go. He wasn't startled. He was obviously just scrambling up the rocks. Very distinctive tracks that come with those feet, so always quite easy to identify their tracks when you are lucky enough to find them. I've only seen rock hyrax tracks a couple of times in my life because obviously they like to move where it's quite rocky and then don't leave tracks, but occasionally in amongst the rocks you'll find patches of sand, and I have a few times been able to have a look at the tracks produced by these interesting little creatures that are supposedly one of the closest living relatives of our African elephants. Laura, you say cleaning its toes. So cute. Yes, it is. Very cute. Looks like the tide might be coming in on the right there. It might need to start thinking about moving soon. Catherine, you say you hope we get to see the babies today. Oh, it's so cute. I haven't actually seen the hyraxes at this camera before, but I know from my time in East Africa, it was always so cute to see a mum with babies because the babies would often sit on her back. So you'd have these 4 or 5 little ones kind of perched on the back of the mother. So cute. And they really are very special little creatures. And the favorite prey of the black eagle, so they always need to be on the lookout for birds of prey, not only the black eagle, but black eagles being found in kind of rocky cliff hill country are often a predator of the rock hyrax, but they would need to be on the alert for other predators too. I know in KwaZulu-Natal these creatures often get taken by python and snakes. Even black mambas will take a young rock hyrax. So they are quite sought after prey items for many different predators. Definitely on the lookout there, but quite clever the way it's found a little rocky ledge to sit underneath, protecting it from above. Benji, you're asking if they ever go into the water or do they stay on the rocks? I've never actually seen a rock hyrax go into the water. Um, they, I don't. Most animals can swim if they need to, but I would imagine that these hyraxes, if they did go into the water, it would probably be by accident. Oh, that's an interesting lizard. Looks like one of our girdled lizards, perhaps a Cape girdled lizard by the looks of things. Very spiky body, which is typical of the Cape girdled lizard. And they have a way of avoiding predators by wedging themselves into any cracks and crevices in the rocks. So very well adapted to avoid predators that might come from above. Get many different species of girdled lizards in southern Africa, but the Cape girdled lizard is kind of restricted to the southwestern Cape area. I think it actually stretches quite far east, but not to the east coast. So the distribution goes quite far east in the country. See what else the rocks are hiding. Oh, a little Cape wagtail just popped onto the rock there. Went behind. Cape wagtails are generally found close to water. They're quite dependent on water, as are most of the wagtail species, although not technically a water bird or a wader, but they do spend a lot of time close to water and around water. Lara Moore, you're asking, does this lizard swim? Again, I suppose, as with most animals, they're capable of swimming if they need to, but I don't think they would choose to. Just like the hyraxes, if the wave came up and washed them off the rocks, I'm sure they could make their way back to shore. But I don't think they would choose to get into the water. So they're not completely at home in the water, but certainly would be capable of swimming if the need arose. Oh, what was that darting up to the right there? Could have been one of the hyraxes just moving very quickly. I'm not sure. These little hyraxes, another potential predator would be leopards, and that might sound strange, but the Cape leopard is often seen in and around the mountains close to Betty's Bay, so that would be another potential predator that the hyraxes would need to be aware of.
Join Wilders Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience followed by 3 nights in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart. Welcome to a new era of seamless travel. Enjoy a hassle-free ticket purchase system with an effortless check-in, offering unbeatable value and a variety of options. Redefine business travel with Africa's award-winning value-based airline. FastJet, value, choice, flexibility.
Kenya's people, the landscapes and spectacular wildlife make it the ultimate safari destination. Come with me to the Masai Mara and Amboseli in May 2025. We'll explore the vast savannas looking for predators and then marvel at Kilimanjaro as the last big tuskers graze below. This safari is the perfect nature connection to calm the soul and escape from the world's folly.
A very yellowish beak with what looks to me, as I keep seeing flashes of it, looks to be a red eye. I don't know if any of you are watching this on bigger screens than I am, but I could swear that I'm seeing a red eye on that left bird, which means we could probably have 3 different species of cormorant there. Reed cormorant on the left, and then the white-breasted cormorant in the middle, and a Cape cormorant to the right. That's nice. You don't often get to see so many different species of cormorants all sitting together. Lady Macbeth, you say you do love a cormorant. Yeah, they are real characters, these cormorants. Just equally at home in the water and the air. Quite amazing, really. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing red eye on that left bird. And I'm even seeing a slight little crest. This is very interesting. So the reed cormorant has a little crest, but the crowned cormorant has a slightly bigger crest. I think this is more reed cormorant size to the crest. So just kind of where the beak hits the forehead, there's a slight little crest on both the reed cormorant and the crowned cormorant. Well, it sounds like Tembe's got some ellies, so let's go over and have a look at these, and I'm sure we'll come back later to see what's happening at Betty's Bay, if there's anything exciting going on. Ah, wow, Tembe looks hot with a lovely little elephant pool party happening. That's always fun to watch. You can see even here how this little water hole is not very deep anymore. I think at its deepest point, the elephants are kind of knee deep in the water. We really need some more rain to fill all these places up. That tree at the side of the waterhole that the elephant is standing under offers such nice thick shade. It looks to me like it could be a weeping boerbean or Scotia brachypetala, which has leaves on it right throughout the year. It's kind of evergreen, as it were, and really offers very thick shade, which I think the ellies are appreciating. Beautiful big old bulls there. Picasso, you're asking, you had a Great Dane that wagged his tail so vigorously that he broke it twice. What about the Ellie's tails? Are they also vertebrae? So, yes, they are vertebrae. I've never heard of an elephant breaking its tail by wagging it. I'm assuming maybe the vertebrae have got more of a covering of muscle than perhaps your Great Dane's tail had. But I know certain dogs, I know it's not in fashion anymore, but there were a number of breeds of dogs that had their tails docked. And one of the reasons for docking the tails was because those tails were so long and thin and were prone to breaking. And so it was actually decided that docking the tails was more humane for them. And I think a Great Dane would probably have been one of those breeds. But yes, I've never heard of an elephant breaking its tail. But having said that, you do sometimes see ellies with skew tails, and you kind of wonder what happened. So, I mean, as with any bone, there is a chance that an elephant might break his tail. But certainly, yes, the tail does have a few vertebrae in it. Animal lover, you are asking if you can tell how old an elephant is just by looking at its tusks. No, so you've got to look at the elephant as a whole, because tusks are quite a genetic thing. So sometimes you could have a really old elephant who just never gets very big tusks, standing next to a younger elephant who's just genetically you know, blessed with the genes for larger tusks, or cursed, as it were, depending on the way you look at it. So a good indication of an elephant's age is their body size. If you see them in a group and you can compare, because elephants grow throughout their lives. They don't stop growing like we do at puberty. Once they've reached puberty, they are not nearly as big as they're going to be. So their body size continues to increase well after puberty into old age. So body size is one indicator of how old they are. And then another way to age an elephant is to look at their skull and to look at the shape of the skull. And when they're young, they have their skull is quite fleshy. But as they age, the flesh kind of melts away from the bone a little bit. And so you start seeing these hollows above the eyes that get more and more and more pronounced the older the elephant gets. And that fleshiness of the skull disappears, and you start to almost see the shape of the actual bone of the skull showing through. And so that would then be another indication of an old animal, if it's got a skull that is really showing lots of hollows and the shape of the underlying bone, as it were. So next time you have a chance, have a look at a really young elephant, and you'll see the hollows above the eyes that we're starting to see on this elephant that's facing the camera. You can see the shading there. And those hollows start to, in a young elephant, they're virtually non-existent. And the older they get, you start to see it becoming more and more sunken.
Seven nights on safari during the magnificent green season. The rains have stopped, the land is emerald, and there are wild babies everywhere. Meet your favorite presenters.
This is amazing.
And create unforgettable memories on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
Thank you for coming along on this little adventure.
The Green Season Grand Tour, only with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member today and unlock extras and bonuses, like ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in your safari without any interruption. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Join now to avoid missing out on these amazing benefits. Help us connect people to nature.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history. On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's finally here, the next Wild Earth Grand Tour. Get ready for 7 unforgettable nights of prime wildlife viewing in the Sabi Sands during peak predator season. Immerse yourself with past and present Wild Earth presenters. Participate in a rhino conservation experience and get a behind-the-scenes look at wildlife filmmaking. Hosted by James Hendry. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
So that's for those of you that are wanting to kind of practice aging an elephant. You can see his body size is just massive. And then you can see the sunken in, the kind of flesh sunken, melted away from the skull above the eyes. And those hollows on that bull are quite big. So that is a sign that he is older. And you can also see the size difference between him and the bull that's actually closer to us. So one would think a closer bull would look bigger, but you can see how that older bull looks, or the bull in the back looks so much bigger from a body size point of view. So that's just another way of telling that he is an old man. And probably well respected, and you might find that all these other bulls around the waterhole are hanging around with him to learn. You know, the old bulls are very, very important in the population. So once these older bulls, or once the young bulls have been kicked out of their breeding herds, these old bulls become so valuable because they teach them how to be bulls no longer part of a herd, and they show them how to behave. They're with them through their periods of must, and there's a lot of learning that happens in these groups of bulls. So the old bulls are very, very important in the population. Okay, the camera doesn't seem to want to move at the moment properly, so we're just going to link over to Safari Lodge while we try and figure out what's happening with the camera. It's a little bit delayed. Oh, beautiful. A secretary bird. That's not something that we see on live at the waterhole that often. Difficult to know if it's a male or a female because the sexes look alike. There's no sexual dimorphism with secretary birds. Very windy by the looks of things. It almost looks like he's struggling to keep himself upright against the wind. Oh, I think he's actually decided to stop fighting the wind and just give it a rest. Have a little rest, possibly a little dust bathe. As we were watching the elephants dust bathing, talking about how important it is for them, it's as important for birds to dust bathe and get rid of skin parasites. So that could be what he's thinking of doing, or he might just be thinking, let's get out of this wind as much as possible and just wait it out. With those long thin legs, it must be quite hard. So with secretary birds, as I said, not easy to tell the males and females apart unless you see them together. Generally, the males are smaller than the females. So that's one way that you could possibly tell them apart. But yes, Joan, a really nice treat to see a secretary bird today. Not something that we see commonly. They always occur at fairly low densities wherever they occur, and they are nomadic, so they move around the country. Nomadic is different to migratory. They don't disappear for a full season and kind of go from the north to the southern hemisphere, or from summer here to summer somewhere else. But they do move around the country depending on where there is availability of resources. So they are a little bit nomadic. And they are vulnerable. They are a vulnerable species, classified so by BirdLife South Africa, or BirdLife Africa, and definitely a species in need of protection. What else do we have here? Some springbuck. So I thought we were going to Safari Lodge in Zim, but I definitely think I got that wrong, because this looks like Namibia. So I think this is one of the Namibian waterholes. Safari Hook. Oh, okay. Safari Hook. Sorry, I definitely heard that wrong. So we're at Safari Hook. So interesting to always see how long it takes these giraffes to decide to actually put their heads down and have a drink. And you must know how vulnerable drinking must make them feel. If they've walked so far, the water must be so enticing, and then they stand there for ages just checking around and making absolutely sure that there's no reason to be fearful before they have a drink. You can see a little black-winged stilt at the edge of the water there. Sorry, just going back to the secretary bird, because I see I missed Lily's question on it. She said, do they lay eggs on the ground or in nests in a tree? So Lily, generally in nests in a tree. They normally choose their tree quite carefully. It's often an acacia tree, and it's often quite a low tree. It doesn't necessarily have to be high. They tend to like a lot of the flat-topped acacias. So look at the wind there. Wow. It is quite a strong wind. So yes, the secretary bird will choose a tree that has a bit of a flat top to it, and an acacia tree offers a lot of protection to them from predators that might come from below as well. And so that's generally where they build their nests, on the top of these flat-topped acacias. I'm not even sure if that giraffe eventually drank. I'm assuming it must have had a drink while we were watching the other giraffe feed, because it's moving off now. So let's hope it felt safe enough to have a little drink. There's quite a lot of water at Safari Hook, George, you're right. Got some springbuck coming down for a drink, or maybe not for a drink. They seem to be walking past. And the black-winged stilts, such striking birds. Relative to their size, they have the longest legs of any bird in the world. I often wonder to myself why they need such long legs, because most of the time when you see these birds, they are wading around in quite shallow water. So it's a bit of an evolutionary enigma to me as to why they would have evolved such incredibly long legs. Which must surely make them more fragile and prone to break. Oh, what have we got there? That looks interesting. Is that a abdom stalk? Let's have a good look at... No, it's not an abdom stalk. It's like a black stalk. Yeah, black stalk. Nice. I know abdom stalks sometimes pop up in the strangest of places. But the black stalk has the red beak and the red eye, whereas the abdom stalk has got a bluish face and not a red beak. Always on the lookout for unusual waders at these waterholes. Do sometimes get the strangest vagrants or migratory birds popping up in the strangest places. Okay, well, I think let's go and have a look at somewhere else. Let's go and see. Oh, the secretary bird's up. The wind seems to have died down. Sorry. So before we link over, just have one last little look at the secretary bird, who seems to be up and about again now that the wind has died down. Absolutely beautiful bird. And oh, being dive bombed by the plovers there, by the lapwings. That's interesting. So secretary birds could take little baby lapwings. They have been known to take young birds. They do eat a lot of snakes and lizards and things like that, but they certainly would be a threat if those lapwings happen to have chicks nearby. So that's probably why the lapwings are dive bombing them, or dive bombing him. You can see he also thinks there might be a reason. He's looking very carefully onto the ground, and this is where the wonderful camouflage of a lot of our lapwing chicks needs to come into play. If they sit very still, then they might be able to remain hidden and be safe from the secretary bird.
Experience the magic of the wild on an unforgettable 4-night safari at Mabula Nature Reserve, hosted by the one and only Stephen Falconbridge. With Steve as your private guide, you'll gain incredible insights into Africa's wildlife, leaving with knowledge and memories to last a lifetime. Get hands-on with conservation, track elusive cheetahs, and even take to the skies on a hot air balloon ride. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
At Peridot Optics, we're enthusiasts, explorers, and advocates for unparalleled visual experiences. Our journey is a passion for the outdoors and a commitment to enhancing how you see the world by providing cutting-edge sporting optics personalized for you, your lodge, your business, or your best friend.
Use the promo code seen on screen at the checkout to get your discount today.
We are committed to creating high-quality optical products that deliver clear, immersive views, fostering a deeper connection with nature.
Join the Wild Earth Explorers program and connect with a community passionate about wildlife. Support our mission to share authentic wildlife experiences with the world. Your monthly contribution helps provide schools and children access to kids' safaris, fostering a love for nature in the next generation. Embrace the wonders of the bush and make a difference today. Wild Earth, connecting with nature. Wild Earth Travel would like to take you to Namibia and Botswana. Drift over the desert in a hot air balloon, then glide through the lush Okavango Delta in a dugout canoe. This extraordinary journey blends dramatic landscapes with outdoor adventures and unparalleled wildlife encounters. Discover Africa like never before. Book now with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Seeing them go down into the water like that. So the secretary bird is not a typical wader. Maybe he's coming to drink some water. Probably thirsty. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that was a very quick drink. Not sure he would have had enough water from that one little sip. So this question comes from Fuller. Would the dive bombing of a predator also give away the fact that there is a nest or chicks around? It could, but often the birds are quite clever and they'll actually lead the predator away. And I have seen this with my own eyes, where the adult kind of pretends to be almost injured and then distracts the predator and leads it away from the nest or the eggs. So that does happen. That's, it's the reason why the chicks and the eggs need to be so well camouflaged, just so that these predators can't find them, because ground nesting birds are very, very vulnerable. I'm sure that secretary bird needs to drink a little bit more. It just had one tiny sip of water. Probably also, like the giraffe, just feeling a bit vulnerable and needing to make sure that there's no danger when it puts its head down to drink. Very carefully putting its feet into the mud there. Very cautious. And still obviously being blown a bit by the wind. You see how it was struggling to balance as it put its wings up there. Definitely trying to get another drink or two, but very, very alert and aware. The secretary bird is not invulnerable from an attack from above, from a bird of prey that might take it out. Something like a martial eagle is known to take guinea fowls and things like that. I'm sure they would give a secretary bird a try. So he needs to be very alert as he comes down in the open to drink. Bill, you say you saw a close-up pic of a secretary bird and they have beautiful thick eyelashes. They really do. Some of these birds, ground hornbills as well, if you've ever seen a close-up picture of a ground hornbill, they have the most magnificent eyelashes. If you've looked at an ostrich as well, close up, their eyelashes are just beautiful. There's a project on the go, I think it's linked to bird, trying to kind of understand outside of protected areas where these birds occur. So I know that many birders in the country have been asked to report sightings of secretary birds. As I said earlier, they are vulnerable, and there's quite a lot of research on the go to just try and understand exactly what their population is looking like, where they're breeding, whether their breeding is successful. You know, being a big, unusual bird like this, they are also sought after in the kind of traditional uses, cultural uses, traditional medicines and things. So they are definitely birds that need our protection. Little herd of springbuck coming down to drink there. Some zebra as well. Got some plain zebra. Beautiful zebras there. So you can easily see the lovely shadow stripes of our southern plain zebra, very different to the plain zebra that you see up in Kenya and Tanzania in the Masai Mara. So the shadow stripe being the kind of brownish stripe in the middle of the more black stripes. Amazing how these waterholes are such gathering points for all species in these dry landscapes. And springbuck are perfectly adapted to deal with the dry landscapes. In fact, they do not do well in the wetter parts of the country. They suffer from a disease called heartwater disease, which is a tick-borne disease, and it's a tick that is found in the wetter regions of the country. So wherever the rainfall is higher, you actually don't find the springbuck. They are only found in the drier parts of the country. There are a few breeders, game breeders, who've managed to breed springbuck now that are heartwater resistant and have started to put them onto their game farms. But I always like going to a game reserve and seeing animals that belong there, not animals that shouldn't be there, just to increase the species number. So I love seeing springbuck in their natural habitat. sorry, I think we had an issue with our camera at Safari Hook. So we just jumped back to Tembe, where we're still having a beautiful, beautiful elephant dust bathing pool party, mud party session going on, which is lovely. And these all seem to be bulls. Looks like some Inyala in the background there. Okay, we're going to quickly pop over to Kwamaritane. I think there's a hippo there. So let's go and see what's happening with Mr. Hippo at Kwamaritane. Oh, wow. The hippo has 2 passengers, Hamakop and Terrapin. How cute. That water looks pretty murky. So wonderful to see how these animals, I was going to say take advantage of each other, but that sounds negative. Or, just how they seem to mutualistically kind of use each other. And I don't know what benefits a hippo would get from having or allowing a hamakop to sit on his back like this. I've never actually seen a hamakop taking parasites or skin parasites off a hippo. I have seen terrapins doing it, and I've seen other birds like oxpeckers doing it. So it's really quite interesting when either a heron or a hamakop lands on the back of a hippo, and the hippo is quite happy to have it just bobbing along on its back. This kind of reminds us that we need to treat others with kindness, whether they're the same species as you or a different one. If they're not doing you any harm, there's no reason to treat them unkindly. There's so many lessons that nature has to teach us if we just open ourselves to them. The hamakop definitely gets an advantage from this by being much closer to where the hippo is disturbing fish and frogs and things in the water. So he certainly benefits from the relationship. Perhaps he would warn the hippo if there's potential predators around or any potential threats. There's not much that threatens a hippo in the water, though. They feel quite vulnerable out of the water, but when they're in the water, they generally don't feel threatened by it too much. He's had his head down for quite some time now, wondering when he's going to pop up. Oh, there we go. So they say they can keep their heads down for 8 minutes. I've often in the past tried to time it and see if it does get to 8 minutes. I've never quite had a hippo go as long as 8 minutes. I'm sure they probably are capable of it, but it's quite impressive that they can hold their breath for that long.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience followed by 3 nights in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart.
Oh, look!
100% mtanami. Yes. Can you give me the spoon, please? How good are you with numbers?
Very good.
100%.
Yes. Gogo, look! Yeah.
Hundreds, my boy.
Gogo, it's hundreds.
Yes.
It's always hundreds with 100% pure sunfoil.
Come with us on a beautiful wildlife journey with Safari Spotlight. 4 unique South African locations, countless unforgettable moments, jam-packed with exhilarating and inspiring wildlife sightings. Bringing you intimate and exciting virtual safaris.
And it jumped up like this and shimmied all the way up.
Enjoy jaw-dropping moments as we tell authentic conservation stories. Safari Spotlight is your ticket into the heart of the African wild. Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Water is so murky, I'm not entirely sure how the hamakop is going to know when there's prey close by, and I'm wondering if he's standing right at the edge on purpose, because maybe his toes being in the water would be able to sense the vibrations of a fish or a frog or something coming closer, and that might just alert him to a feeding opportunity, because the water really doesn't look like he would be able to see into it at all. I do sometimes see hamakop when they're hunting walking along the edge of quite murky water and kind of wiggling their feet around in the mud. So I think those feet must be quite sensitive and probably quite capable of picking up on small vibrations in the mud or the water that would allow him to find his food. Just Kendra, you say they managed to work together. Yeah, they seem to be quite happily working together at the moment. Hippo doesn't seem to be too concerned. The turtle's just sunbathing, and the hamakop's waiting patiently for some food. Heidi Swiss, thank you for your greeting. It's lovely to be with you all on live at the waterhole. Just love this opportunity to connect with nature. Love knowing that we're allowing you the opportunity to connect with nature, which is just so important in the world that we're living in right now, where connections with nature are becoming, for many of us, harder and harder to find. And yet more and more critical that we do find those connections for ourselves, for our children, and raise children and raise a population that has a love of and a connection for nature. Just very, very important. Okay, we're going to go to Stony Point now. It seems like there might be some penguins. Let's go and have a look. Oh, wow. This is what I was hoping to see yesterday when we linked there, and there was no sign of them. So really, really awesome to have some African penguins swimming in the water. Very special. So this penguin's name has changed a number of times over the last while. So it used to be called a jackass penguin, and then that name fell out of favor. And then it was called an African penguin. And then I see just recently that in a lot of the recent bird books, the name has changed again to Magellanic penguin. So for those of you that are confused, they're all the same penguin. The Magellanic, the jackass, or the African penguin all refer to the same penguin. Critically endangered. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. The African penguin and the Magellanic penguin are subspecies of. They're not the same. African penguin and Magellanic penguin look very, very similar, but they're actually not exactly the same bird. But critically endangered in South Africa, mainly due to human disturbance, which is really quite sad. And they're endemic to southern Africa. They occur up the coast of Namibia and are occasionally seen on the KZN coast, but mostly kind of the western coast down through the southern coast of South Africa. One of the big problems with these penguins is a decrease in food availability. And that comes from probably overuse in the seas with all these fisheries just netting way more fish than we probably need and removing that fish that is the sole source of food for these amazing little penguins. So there's a massive concern about the African penguin, and a huge move to try and do a lot more research and to try and protect them wherever possible. Unfortunately, the areas where they breed are often quite hot tourist spots, and also sought after spots for development. You know, the coastal property along the Cape South and West Coast is very much in high demand, and their breeding sites are being developed where they really shouldn't be, where these birds should be left alone. And you just don't know how that development not only takes away key breeding sites, but also changes the winds and the currents along the coastline that can also have an impact on them. So there's a lot still that we don't understand about the African penguin and why its numbers are decreasing so much. But They definitely need all our help, all our research. Amazing to see the little ones learning from the parents. And great to see that there are some little ones, that there are some breeding successes for the season. Catherine, I agree. Education of children is the key to conservation. How will they protect the animals that they don't even know about? That's so important. And, you know, as more and more kids move into inner cities and lose that connection with nature and never get the opportunity to go out into these places and see these animals, it becomes really difficult for a person to feel passionate about something that it has no connection to. And that's why I feel so deeply that this connection with nature needs to be encouraged in our schools, encouraged everywhere, encouraged on, you know, on TV, wherever possible. Just try and encourage a connection with nature, and school teachers should be getting their kids out into nature as much as possible. Rather than teaching biology in a classroom, we should be teaching it out in the outdoors where kids can feel that connection. And there are outreach programs and programs where kids get to go outside and go into nature, but it just needs to happen far, far more than it is at the moment. So Bill's asking, you think many people associate penguins with the Arctic, not a bird that you would find in South Africa. It does seem quite strange, Bill, and obviously most species of penguins are found in the Antarctic. So the Antarctic is our southern oceans, the Arctic being up in the north. And all penguin species are found in the southern hemisphere, and certainly most of them would be found in the Antarctic. There are a number of species of penguins that you find down there: king penguins, gentoo penguins, southern rockhopper penguins, northern rockhopper penguins. You get the macaroni penguin, the Magellanic penguin, which I spoke about a little bit earlier, and then the emperor penguins as well. Adelie penguins, there's a number of species that you find down there. So it is quite unusual to have one that spends so much time further north and breeds up here as well. It's not just up here to get food, but it actually breeds on our coastline, and that is very, very unusual for penguin species. But the waters that you find these penguins in are the cold waters. So you very seldom find these African penguins on our eastern coast. And the eastern coast is the warm Indian Ocean. It's a warm current. And so most of the penguins that crop up there are either lost or vagrants. They've somehow managed to get themselves in trouble. Whereas the breeding and the majority of this penguin population would be up the Namibian coastline, and then into kind of Western Cape and Southern Cape, where the water is very, very cold.
There's a big male leopard coming this way.
What an absolute beauty.
Yeah, guys, we've got Lalamba and Cub. We've got Lalamba and Shapondo. Look at this. This is amazing.
Become a Wild Earth YouTube member and unlock exclusive bonuses and benefits. Enjoy uninterrupted, ad-free streams so you can stay immersed in nature. Have your burning questions answered first by me or other expert naturalists. Enjoy exclusive access to special broadcasts and videos, and help us to connect people to nature.
Kenya's people, the landscapes and spectacular wildlife make it the ultimate safari destination. Come with me to the Masai Mara and Amboseli in May 2025. We'll explore the vast savannas looking for predators and then marvel at Kilimanjaro as the last big tuskers graze below. This safari is the perfect nature connection to calm the soul and escape from the world's folly.
They learned from me, so yeah, we all learn together in this, and that's what's so wonderful about having this forum where we can chat to each other from all parts of the world and ask each other questions and learn together. It's wonderful. It really is. Where they were standing before, there seemed to be a massive number of insects or ants, or I'm not quite sure what they were, crawling all over the rocks. And I'm wondering if that's what made them move. Maybe they were getting bitten. I think those feathers are quite thick and possibly not very easy for anything to get through them to bite. But on the feet, I think they could have been being bitten by those insects, which to me look like ants, but I'm not 100% sure. So Catherine, you say that you are going to be back in SA soon to work for an organization that takes kids from the villages into Kruger for education programs. That's wonderful. When I was working at Londolozi, we used to have a weekly school trip that came in from the communities, and the guides and trackers would, whoever happened to be kind of off duty with guests, would then take out those children and give them a meal and take them into the bush and show them some of those animals, because so many of them, they grow up on the boundaries of these reserves within spitting distance, as it were, and yet they've never seen an elephant or a lion in the wild. And as we were saying earlier, how are they ever going to feel the passion that is necessary to protect those animals if they've never even seen one? You have to create that connection. You've got to create some form of emotion that's attached to that animal for them to decide, okay, hold on, this is something worth protecting. And so that was a hugely important part of our job. And as guides, we were all called on at regular intervals to take those those trips and do the game drives with those school children, and just to see their faces when they see, you know, an elephant or a lion for the first time, and to think, gosh, you know, these kids have grown up their whole lives right here and they haven't seen it. And it's quite sobering, but also very, very very fulfilling, knowing that you are just hopefully creating that connection that's one day going to result in one of those kids going off to study conservation, or, you know, just somehow not get involved in poaching or whatever it might be. It's hugely important. And that's why I love what we're doing at Wild Earth as well. It's just very special that we are creating these little insights, live insights into the natural world every day. It's very, very special.
Join Wild Earth Travel on a unique nature adventure in the Greater Kruger Park. Legendary master tracker Renius Mhlongo leads a 4-day animal tracking experience, followed by 3 nights in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve. This experience offers a life-changing chance to track Africa's iconic animals on foot with a master of his craft. Renius is joined by Wild Earth presenter and expert storyteller Amy Krantz, and together they will connect you to Africa's wild heart. Welcome to a new era of seamless travel. Enjoy a hassle-free ticket purchase system with an effortless check-in, offering unbeatable value and a variety of options. Redefine business travel with Africa's award-winning value-based airline. FastJet, value, choice, flexibility.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On Safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history. On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's finally here, the next Wild Earth Grand Tour. Get ready for 7 unforgettable nights of prime wildlife viewing in the Sabi Sands during peak predator season. Immerse yourself with past and present Wild Earth presenters, participate in a rhino conservation experience, and get a behind-the-scenes look at wildlife filmmaking. Hosted by James Hendry. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
So it would be really interesting to see, because great white sharks are one of their main predators, as well as seals. Seals take them quite a lot. So yeah, the balance, you know, the great whites also take the seals, so whether that's then going to affect them negatively or not, I'm not sure, but it would be really interesting to know how this little population of penguins are responding to the fact that the great white numbers have dropped. Diana, do they also groom each other? Yes, I have seen them grooming each other. I think especially in the beginning stages of their courtship, before they actually mate and lay their eggs, they will spend quite a bit of time just reinforcing the pair bond by grooming each other. So that definitely is a way of reinforcing bonds between the male and female. quite interesting. I was reading about these African penguins and how they say that the ones that breed in a colony actually normally have more success at raising their young than ones that breed more solitary. So sometimes you'll find a pair just breeding on its own without other penguins around. And sometimes you'll find them in these colonies where there's a number of breeding pairs together. And it doesn't seem to make sense. You would think, well, surely if they're in a colony, they are competing for food, but they think that the colony provides a shared information that by breeding together with other penguins, they will tell each other where the food is. They all go out foraging, and if one penguin finds a school of fish in an area, that he will then share that information with the rest of the members of the colony, which then means that all of them can get food. So it seems like rather than competing with one another, a colony actually helps survival because of the shared information that they get. So I think there's quite a lot of research still going on that, but very, very interesting. Yeah, Joan, I'm so happy to see the penguins today, because when we crossed over to Stony Point yesterday, there was no sign of them. They were obviously all out busy fishing or doing what they do, but it's lovely to see them today. I love seeing underwater shots of penguins because, as I'm sure you've all seen it at some point, but I mean, as clumsy as they look on land, when you see them underwater and just how graceful they are when they dive and swim, it's just such a beautiful sight. And you can see the development that I'm talking about. Look, I think some of these places are quite strict with how much development can happen and where it's happening. But development is always something that can cause problems for the one in the area. Oh, wow, look at all the penguins there. That's amazing. So lovely to see so many of them today. Obviously a massive tourist draw card, so definitely something that our government should be looking at in terms of how best they can protect the species. And it should never be about that. The species should be protected because of its own, it has worth in and of itself, but you always have to have ways of bribing governments to protect wildlife. And tourism is one of the best ways of doing it. If it brings in money, then a government feels it has worth. So VC, you're asking if the white sharks here are being depleted of food sources also. So yeah, I'm sure the fish stocks all over the world are in decline, and we all need to pay attention to that. You've got these fisheries need to start being more accountable and fishing in a way that is sustainable, and many of them aren't. So I think many of the predatory species that rely on fish are also in decline. The whole system is linked. And we have seen a massive, massive decline in great white shark numbers around the coast of Africa, specifically that south and west coast. And I'm not sure it can all be because of the orcas. I think the orcas have played a role, but then you also have to ask yourself, why have the orcas suddenly arrived? What changed that forced them to suddenly come here where they weren't before? And not that they weren't here before, but they've become resident, particularly this one pair of of orcas known as port and starboard because of the way that their dorsal fins flop over. They're very recognizable, and they hunt along the coast and hunt the white sharks. But where did they come from? Why did they need to suddenly change their behavior and move in and start hunting our white sharks? You know, this whole system is connected. And if we are depleting resources in our oceans, it's going to have repercussions. And I don't know how many of you have ever heard of something called a trophic cascade, but there was a very famous example of a trophic cascade in Yellowstone National Park where the removal of wolves caused a massive change to the entire ecosystem that was really actually quite negative. And by putting the wolves back at the top of the food chain, it created this cascade of events down the food chain that allowed the system to revert back to what it was before. It literally pushed the deer into different areas, which then caused the woodland along the rivers to change, which then changed the course of the rivers, and it changed the entire ecosystem. Now, in the ocean, you get these trophic cascades because of whales. And when whales are removed from the ocean, their feces is removed from the ocean. And the feces is a nutrient that is used by many organisms that live in the ocean. They feed off that nutrient that then creates all these blooms, nutrient blooms in the ocean. So when whale numbers drop, then the nutrients in the ocean that drops, and that creates a cascade, a negative cascade in the ocean. So yeah, we've got to think so carefully. I mean, there is Captain Paul Watson sitting in jail for defending whales, and we don't have the whole world in uproar trying to get the government of Denmark to release him. And yeah, I think it's Denmark. Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm accusing the wrong government here, but they, the fact that he's sitting in jail when all is done is protect the whales in our oceans is something that we really need to think very carefully about, because it's all linked. If our oceans are not healthy, then the land the land won't be healthy either. It's all linked. So yeah, I'm sure that the shark numbers are down for many reasons, because of overfishing, because of trophic cascades that are no longer happening from overwhaling, all these incredibly important systems on planet Earth, on Mother Earth, that need to be revered and protected by us. Seems like everyone's been fishing and now out drying their feathers in the sun. Seems like it might be quite hot there, just looking at how those cormorants are opening their mouths and gula flapping to cool themselves down. What a beautiful view with the mountains in the background there. France, you say the water looks inviting. That water is actually incredibly cold along the Cape West and South Coast. People do swim in it, but a lot of there's some incredible, very popular surf spots along that coastline. But most surfers, or all surfers, would use thick wetsuits when they go surfing in that. So different to the East Coast where I live, where the water is beautifully warm. Okay, well, we are going to link away from here now and see what is happening at one of our other cameras. And here we are at Cat's Eye Pan in the Olifants West Game Reserve with some ellies. Looks like a group of young elephants, not big ones, so still quite young, possibly little teenage bulls that have banded together. Yes, I can see one on the left is definitely a bull. The other two look to be bulls as well, just judging by the angle of their foreheads, rounded foreheads. And we've got a pair of Egyptian geese in the water. I didn't even notice them. I was too busy looking at the elephants. So while we're just watching these ellies have their little party, I just want to talk about another travel opportunity next year. And this is the Trails with Amy Krantz and Renia Mhlongo from the 23rd to the 30th of September 2025. So it's 8 days, 7 nights. And it's a small group size of 6. And it is going to be the most incredible experience. I've now had the pleasure of working with both Amy and Renius. Renius I worked with many, many years ago when I guided at Londolozi for many years. And what an exceptional and incredible tracker he is. He is one of the last of the traditional Shangaan trackers, and he's known for his expertise and instrumental in habituating the leopards of the Sabi Sands. So we have him and his brother and a few other people to thank for the fact that we have these habituated leopards that we can view in the Sabi Sands. So this tour is going to be in partnership with Tracker Academy. And for the first 4 days, you'll be with the legendary Renia Mhlongo, and you will be learning from him how to track and just be completely immersed in the wild. And then following that transformative experience, you'll head to the Sabi Sands Nature Reserve with Amy Krantz, and you'll be focusing on spotting Wild Earth's favorite big cats. And hopefully you'll see a number of them. And you'll also have a special chance to meet the Wild Earth broadcast crew. So it promises to be an awesome adventure of a lifetime. And the bookings for that close soon. So if it sounds like something that you'd be interested in, head over to info@wildearth.tv and make sure that you don't miss out on that. I can hear some lesser striped swallows calling in the background there. Lots of little swallows swooping down over the water, as they love to do.
Seven nights on safari during the magnificent green season. The rains have stopped, the land is emerald, and there are wild babies everywhere. Meet your favorite presenters.
This is amazing.
And create unforgettable memories on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
Thank you for coming along on this little adventure.
The Green Season Grand Tour, only with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive. We are thrilled to announce our new exclusive feature for YouTube members and explorers. Join us live every Tuesday for our sunrise and sunset safaris. Experience Tawny Tuesday like never before with up-close encounters and breathtaking moments. Don't miss out. Become a YouTube member or explorer today and immerse yourself in the heart of the bush. See you Tuesday. Join the Wild Earth Explorers program and connect with a community passionate about wildlife. Support our mission to share authentic wildlife experiences with the world. Your monthly contribution helps provide schools and children access to kids' safaris, fostering a love for nature in the next generation. Embrace the wonders of the bush and make a difference today. Wild Earth, connecting with nature. Wild Earth Travel would like to take you to Namibia and Botswana. Drift over the desert in a hot air balloon, then glide through the lush Okavango Delta in a dugout canoe. This extraordinary journey blends dramatic landscapes with outdoor adventures and unparalleled wildlife encounters. Discover Africa like never before. Book now with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
It's quite sweet because you can almost see that there is some affection for each other in the way that they're sparring. They're not being particularly rough. It's a very important process for them to learn how to do this. Just the way he gently kind of placed his trunk on the forehead of the other elephant. They're definitely not serious about what they're doing. It's a learning curve for them. Lots to battle with each other for later on when they are in must and the fights get a lot more serious. And just, yeah, a really important process that they have to go through. But these bulls at this age are quite vulnerable. You know, they've just been chased out of the protection of the herd. There are certain lion prides around Africa that are known to take young bulls like this. So they need each other, these bulls. They, as much as they're sparring with each other and they look like they might be fighting, they're also probably very well aware that they need the presence of each other, you know, for protection. Oh, I think he chased those geese. It was out of camera shot, but just judging by action of the poor Egyptian geese, I think they got at or slapped with a trunk. Probably not trumpeted at, or we would have heard, but certainly the Ellie is creating a bit of a sorry little monitor lizard, a water monitor, so moving out of the way. Okay, well, it looks like we're going to link over to Tembe now. I think there might be some interesting stuff on the go there. Hopefully we've still got some more Ellies there as well. Ah, we do still have some Ellies, or at least one, out in the full sun. You can hear the white-faced whistling ducks in the background there. You can see how strong the wind is as that elephant plays with the dust, and that wind just takes it away. You can hear some oxpeckers, so I think there might be some antelope around as well. There's looks like the bottom of an inyala disappearing up the slope. A couple of woolly-necked storks there. Amazing how quickly they cover ground when they look like they're walking so slowly and so sedately, and then you see how much ground they actually cover. Okay, well, I think we might be linking back to Stony Point. There obviously was a lot going on there, so let's go see what's happening while we leave this little solitary impala to feed. Oh, sweet. Our young penguin. Now, I am thinking that those might be little crabs on the rocks. I can't imagine that they would be ants, but it's just so difficult to see what they are. So many of them. Not entirely sure what all those little critters are, to be honest. One would think with so many of them being there that there would be a bunch of animals feeding on them. No, they don't look like crabs to me. They look like insects, but they seem to have wings. So I'm still unsure of what they are. Oh, and here we've got a little hyrax joining us, our little dussies. Looks super relaxed up there on his rock. So cute. See, little chap. Oh, there's another little lizard. I wonder if it's the same species as the one we saw earlier. It looks like it's got quite spiky scales, so it could be another girdled lizard. Yeah, I think so. Cape girdled lizard. So many little creatures making this rock pile their home. It's quite incredible. When you think of the little ecosystem just in one little rock pile, nesting sites and homes for all kinds of animals. Those scales on that tail look quite formidable, actually. I think the girdled lizard's scales on his body must be quite good protection from a lot of creatures. Looks like a lovely day in Stony Point. The sky is quite blue. There's a little bit of cloud in the sky, but on the whole it really looks lovely. Doorstep, very, very special. Alison, it is soothing, isn't it? Just looking at the landscape and the mountains and the sea. It really is quite beautiful. And getting these little glimpses of all the creatures that are living there as well. It's just super special. think that was the pair we were looking at earlier, but I'm wondering where the little chaps seem to hop down into where all the insects were swarming around. But you can see the pair bond there between the two of them. You can see how aware they are of each other, how they're constantly watching each other. There's another adult. I'm not sure where the youngster is. He made his way down into that frenzy of insects a little bit earlier. I'm fascinated about what all those insects are and what they're doing there. Unless they're feeding off the rotting kelp. There's a lot of kelp draped over the rocks there. I wonder if that's not some form of food source for them. Really interesting to see how many there are. They almost look, I don't even want to say it, but they almost look like little cockroaches or something related to. Very interesting. I'm going to have to take myself down to Stony Point at some stage and see if I can figure out what all those insects are. But it definitely looks to me like a cockroach or a woodlouse or something, just the body shape. It certainly isn't a marine arthropod like a crab. It's definitely an insect of some sort. Well, everyone, we've only got a minute left of our time today, but it's been such a lovely afternoon. I've so enjoyed sharing it with you. It's been lovely to see the penguins at Stony Point. I've been wanting to have a look at them for a while, so that was really very, very special. And also just all our elephant sightings today. It's been a great one. I've loved having you all on board with me, and really look forward to doing this again sometime. I'm probably not going to be here until after Christmas, so enjoy all the Live at the Waterholes with all of our other presenters in the meantime, and happy holidays to all of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season wherever you are, and please join us over the next few days. It's been wonderful being with you. Take care and goodbye for now.